Hey guys, this is Mike with Mike's Pro Photos. This is gonna be a pretty chill video. I am just gonna go through what I did on my way to becoming like a wedding photographer and why I made certain choices and what I kind of regretted a little bit and stuff like that. So first of all, let's go broad. I like to do an overview like a broad to narrow, right? So I guess the purpose of this video is that I want to gear the video towards people who want or are interested in becoming a wedding photographer or just maybe photography in general. And, they kind of want a roadmap painted out, right? This isn't going to be one of those videos where I'm like, man, this is the best camera for you. And you got to do this, and this is the best way. No, this is the way I did it, and I'm still doing it. Because stuff is expensive. Anyway, let me show you first what I did. I started like maybe 3 to 4 years ago. This is the Sony A7 IV, and this just came out. So I went into the Sony line, right? There's Canon and Nikon, but at the time, Sony was, I guess, considered the best, or at least had a lot more from the people around me said like was a lot better. Like I got higher valuations from people. But then this came out, and Sony, this series, the A7 like 3 and 4, is like they're very good like hybrid but like high quality cameras when it comes to like their price point. So it's like, okay, well, what's your budget look like? For me, it was like lower mid tier. And then when this came out, it had like some amazing specs at the time. It's got 33 megapixels. Usually like something around this price range is like 24 megapixels. So there's more data, which means if you want to crop in more and either you made a mistake or you just want to change the look of a photo, you have more to play with. I think that's a great thing. So another thing is it had better autofocus than all the other competitors at the time, I think. I think right now Canon's winning in the autofocus, but it's not by enough where you would make a decision based on that, unless autofocus was insanely important to what you were doing. In case you weren't doing weddings, but like high-speed sports or something like that, then. But that's not what this video is. We're not having wedding couples, do like a race or something. I mean, weddings can do anything, so you never know. Maybe you want to be prepared. But for me, and in this video, I'm thinking normal wedding. So I would start here again. Anyway, they are coming out with an A7 V, which is gonna have, from the rumors, a lot of insane features. If you were to watch this video and you're thinking, oh, I want to start soon, I would wait, because I think the price won't be that different from the 4, and this price will drop down a few hundred, and then the newer one with all the new upgrades will have like this price, or at least something similar. That's the hope. It might be a few $100s more, but with all the improvements, and if you were already going to pay this much, it'll be so worth it. So worth it. But for now, this is the A7 IV. I have 2 of them. This is where I am currently. I love this camera. There's nothing wrong with it. It gets the job perfectly done with no issues. What you're really looking for in a body that really matters is dual slot, which is kind of becoming more standard on all these mirrorless cameras anyway, where it can save pictures that you're taking on 2 separate memory cards at the same time. And so I'll just get this. It's a bundle. It has like an extra battery, and it's at no additional cost. I would not buy a kit lens with it though. At the bottom, it'll be like, oh, would you like one of the? Oh no, these are not kit lenses. These are oh, maybe this is, yeah, 2.550 millimeter. Like that's kind of weird. Yeah, don't just get a normal good, like a good lens, like right off the bat. And so, because you're only gonna need one. Let me show you. Oh yeah, but so I got these bookmarked, and I'm just gonna go through it in order. So we're starting small now in terms of gear. First thing you need is a camera body. Then you should buy some extra batteries. You should have like 3 per camera. That's my rule, because I think 3 is about how many times you're expected in like the longest weddings to change your batteries. Like super long, and it's like intensive. So that's what I would recommend. But let's go into the lenses. This is the only lens you'll need for 99% of your wedding, or 100%. So this is Sigma's 24 to 70 millimeters is what I have. This is the second one. They came out with a better version than the one I have. I still use the first one because it came out recently and, you know, whatever, it's expensive, but it's not that different. It is a little bit more polished, but not enough where I'm like, oh man, I gotta sell this and get that one now. Like, no, not really. We're hitting this point where lenses can't really get that much better anyway, and it's starting to become apparent with like all these second iterations of like old masterful lenses. Like the technology and like autofocus and stuff, sure, but like clarity and all that, maybe not as much. So if you're, so for me it's like, do I urgently need to upgrade the 1 to the 2? No. I'm hitting all the autofocus spots and all that. I'm not having any issues. You know, there are issues though. It's like if you're rapid firing, the odds are you'll probably miss like out of 20 shots like 3. But I've never had a wedding where I'm like, oh no, it's an actual issue. It's like, no, fine. I haven't really missed anything. No one's noticed anything. Where it's, you know, it's like, well, because you're calling the photos, but overall, it doesn't affect any of my weddings that I've done in these past few years. So this is kind of like the survival guide base kit stuff. But you're gonna, even if you go this route, this lens at its second iteration, like the Sigma, you know, DNR2 is the same price as what I got for the 1. So you're just gonna start off with better technology. Congrats to you. This lens is wide enough to be in like a hotel room, right? Where it's like a small hotel room, because a lot of couples will be like, we want some getting ready photos, but the hotels they, you know, get aren't that big. 35 won't cut it, 24. So a lot of discussion about lenses that I can put some insight on is, you know, a lot of the seasoned pros will be like, look, you need a prime lens, but there's also seasoned pros that are like, zoom's just way too comfortable. It's the technology in a zoom lens used to be a lot bigger gap for like the fixed one. So instead of like 24-70 millimeters, it'd be like 35 millimeters, and that's it, 50. And instead of moving, you know, the ring that changes the zoom, you're just running back and forth and stuff. It's like, well, now the technology has caught up so well with these zoom lenses that the trade-off is starting to lean more towards zoom lenses all the way. Like I know people who are like, yeah, I was using primes and I switched, or I bought one of these zooms and now I'm never going back, and the quality is amazing. Okay, the only advantage is like there's the apertures are lower, so like you'll get better low light performance, but I've never had low light issues, so you just get a flash, which is on the list coming up. So anyway, this the only weakness of this is that it can't zoom in super far, right? But if 50 is like mid, 70 is a little bit zoom, you still have a little bit of zoom. But if you're in a situation for some reason where you are really far away from what you need to be shooting, you know, then you can, but you won't need that right away. But at some point you could invest in either another zoom, this is the 70 to 200, or you could just buy like a fixed, you know, like an 85 or a 135. They're smaller, that's why, because this looks like I'm hunting people. Like, you know how many times where I'm like, oh man, I brought this lens and it's perfect, but everyone starts looking at you because it's like, what are you aiming? I mean, it's not just this, it's this with the lens, you know, it's like, it's huge. So, yeah, it's quite large. Everyone's gonna look at you a little bit, just a little bit, and then they'll be like, oh, it's the photographer. And then they'll stop staring at you, but it's a little awkward sometimes. This is just super inconspicuous. But yeah, like I said, you really you can shoot the entire wedding easily on this lens and never switch. The times where you might want to zoom is like during the ceremony and you just really want a close-up of the couple, but you don't want to invade their space, right? You know, you don't want to be in front of the crowd and being this nuisance. This could come in handy, right? But yeah, rare. That's about the only time I could really think of it being that useful. So I rarely use it. So let's move on. We got a body, we got a lens. We need some memory cards. These use what we call CF Express Type A cards, which are like slightly different than your normal SD cards, but this is the one I would recommend. You're gonna need a certain level of memory though, because these have 33 megapixels. That means the photos are just a bit bigger by like a certain percent. I don't know, like 30%, 40% more than like a normal 24 megapixel camera. So 160 is gonna carry you through like, well, it depends how much you spam your shutter. Don't spam so much, but 160 should get you through an 8-hour wedding day pretty easily. Should cover 10. I don't know about 12. I mean, it depends how heavy you are. If you're like medium, like like you might just about fill it up at 12. So yeah. However, it's $400. And the reason why I would recommend this one and why I went with this one, because I said a few $100s to never work, not to never, but to, yeah, basically never worry about the card breaking so you lose all your data. Yeah, I'll pay for that because that's why they're called tough. They're like Sony's #1 card. Like they're super fast readout speed. So when you're taking photos and you're taking rapid photos, something you don't consider is that there's a speed in which your camera can upload to the card, but the card needs to be able to compete with that speed and receive it just as quickly. And this card, that's what this like 800 and 700 is. I forgot which one's which, but these are freakish numbers. And so you can hold down the shutter and you'll be fine. It'll just keep going and going and it'll never stop. But when you have like a really mediocre card, what's going to happen is you're going to hold the shutter down. It'll take 5 pictures and then you can't take any more photos because it's still loading the other 5. You can't take any more photos. So I hate that. So I'd rather just get it over with, get some quality. Now, the cool thing is that this comes in a 2-pack and you basically get the second one for only $130, which makes them both then revalued at just around like $265 each, which is an amazing deal, by the way, from doing $400 for one. So I'd just get the 2-pack because you're gonna need 2 anyway, because at some point in your life, you're hopefully going to think, I'm going upwards to getting a second body, because when you're a wedding photographer, you're expected to have 2 bodies. This is already getting very expensive, and I know you're like, oh my God, but you can start with 1, do a lot of second shooting, make your money back, then move up to 2, or take the plunge and do 2 if you want, but it's gonna take a while. I made my money back, but it took about 2 years. But then I'm like, this year's my 3rd year that it just ended, and I made it all back again over this year. So, you know, it's pretty nice to just think about the future if you know you're gonna plan to stick to it. So now let's go with the regular, memory cards. And so 128 gigabytes, I'd recommend ProGrade. They're also very high quality, good read speeds. But look, it's 300 and 250 versus like the Sony at 800 and 700. So they're not as fast, but you can hold the shutter for a while. I've never really had that much of an issue with these, and they're way cheaper. This is a 2-pack, so they're only technically, what is it, 96? I don't need to be that accurate, but you know what I mean, right? Anyway, so you got the body, you got a lens, you got your memory cards in there. Now you can fully function as a camera and anything in a bright light. But now what happens if it's dark? You need a flash. Godox V1 gold standard, and it's not that expensive. Just get this. That's all the advice you need. Just get this, okay? Honestly, there's 2 versions. This is the Pro. I also have a normal one in my other bag, but they look like this. They come with these like diffuser domes that are magnetic, so it might be annoying though if you like smack a table and it pops off and rolls on the floor and everyone's like, oh my God, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, I'm fine, it's magnetic, it's just plastic, we're good. I've had that conversation almost every wedding because I keep bumping into things. So that's one thing I don't like, but I'd rather have it pop off gently than like break the neck of the camera getting caught on something. Plus you could just take it off to make it just a strong direct light. That's also a style. Anyway, yeah, it's nice to have flash. You need it. You absolutely need it. You can't do weddings without it because there's always going to be that partying at night, and you cannot get away with 0 light in the room. Next, you're just going to need a trigger. It's a trigger that in the event that, you need to have a remote shoot with your, like you want to set the flash over here, and then you put this on your camera in the horseshoe mount, it'll trigger it from a distance. You don't really use this because you can do all your weddings with the flash on your camera, but the thing is that it's nice. It's not that expensive. And the thing is, it saved one of my weddings once when the neck of my camera, my flash, where it connects on the shoehorn right here, this broke off the flash. It's just because it's like this little thing is all that's holding the weight of everything above it, and this is heavy, right? And so it just snapped one day. And so it was in the middle of a wedding, but I wound up later putting this trigger onto the top of the camera, and then I was taking photos with one hand and holding the flash with the other, and I just barely got by doing the couple's first dance and stuff at night. So that was super clutch. That's the only reason I'm recommending it. Otherwise, you don't really need it. Now I just carry 2 flashes. And then here you go. You got to put it somewhere. You got the camera, the lens, the batteries. You might want some extra SD cards, by the way, but also like an extra batteries, but not in the flash. Now you have the flash. Oh, here we go. So this bad boy, the Peak Design. I have the 20 liter. They have a 30 liter for only like $20 more. Here. I found the 20 liter sufficient, a little tight with all my gear, with like both lenses and the flash, filled it with batteries. Still perfectly fits. And I've had this for years now, and it's still just amazing. I got a little grass stain on the front, which sucks, but besides that, it's functional as crazy. And the cool thing about this backpack is, like, you know, you're wearing it, right? And then, it's like, I want to take out my camera and do something. And then it gets caught on your chair. Okay, here you go. So while you're walking, you know, you can just hold it with one arm like this, so you don't have to stop what you're doing. Do this with one hand, take out your camera, and then just close it like this. So that's the genius of this design. I love it. It's very, very good. It's very good for all photography, right? So you're like, oh man, I don't want my camera out right now. Just put it away. So it's like the perfect like travel run and gun style backpack. The only warning is that if you forget to close it and your cameras are in there and you put it on and you're like swinging it, you know, horizontally around your shoulder and then it all falls out the other way. I've done that. I was in Japan. I went through a security line. They're like, let me see everything in your backpack. And all my friends were waiting. So I'm like, oh, here you go, here you go. And they say, okay, you may go. And there's like about 100 people because we're at a super popular tourist place called Tokyo Skytree. Right? You probably even heard of it. And so, this was a completely out of the blue check. Like, we were not prepared for it. Like, we didn't even see the guys until we like walked up to it because it was so crowded that until you like walked in front of the check. So I was like, oh crap. I didn't close it. Everything fell out. I broke this lens a little bit, cracked. I got it repaired. We're fine. But yeah, that was so scary. So it's a double-edged sword in a sense. You get all this convenience knowing that at some point you might forget to close it. I saw an Instagram reel once where some guy like blamed the backpack and everyone yelled at him and said, "You're an idiot." I'm like, okay, don't complain about that online, but I am kind of like, it is true. So anyway, this is what I would recommend. With just this, it only costs thousands of dollars, but with just this, you can easily get away with weddings now. So if I were you and you got all this, what I would say is your like roadmap for entering the market. A lot of people don't want to talk about this, but what I would say is start a website. So that you can have somewhere to put photos, right? Now you got to go get photos. Where do you get photos? Ask photographers to allow you to be a second shooter for free. They get free photos and you get practice and, you know, and you get portfolio building. So you can take those photos and edit them. So take as many good photos as you possibly can, upload it to your new website, make galleries, for every wedding, and the more you have, the better it looks, especially because, you know, well, I mean, also make sure you don't like botch the editing and do this common thing where you oversaturate it or make everyone orange or something weird. I did that basically. So anyway, you know, But yeah, as long as your photos look good, they're well composed, stuff like that, then yeah, just go ahead, build up that portfolio, but do it. It's really worth it. Do a couple free weddings. There's probably a lot of weekends you would have wasted playing video games and doing nothing anyway, right? Going out to get experience, being on your feet, super valuable. You get to learn about like the structure of a wedding day, from like getting ready to like the ceremony to the reception to cocktail hour stuff and dinner and party dancing and all that fun stuff. But some people aren't like learners unless they do it themselves, and I'm one of those people, so definitely helps a lot. And then yeah, then at some point you have enough stuff where people will, and you start advertising, go and show people in person, or just go on the internet and be like, hey, I'm a photographer, like there's thousands of us though, so good luck. But just eventually you'll start getting one person here, get a little lucky here. Maybe you can start charging really small. I mean, obviously, you can do some couple stuff first, build up an Instagram, get a lot of, at that point it's more quantity and making sure you keep a good quality for like in terms of editing, but like a lot of quantity. Then people are like, oh, he's well established, he's got all these clients, even if they're free, or you're charging like $50, it doesn't matter, right? But it'll grow. First of all, you're growing a network, word of mouth, with super like with clients and stuff, and that's always going to help you. And then you're building your portfolio, and you get my point though, right? It's just take the baby steps that's required to grow. Super necessary. And yeah, what am I thinking? Am I forgetting anything? Oh, this is 21 minutes. Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's about it. If I think of something after the video, I might comment it, or if you think of something, just ask me in the comments. But yeah, that's about it. I just came back from work and then the gym, and I'm just like chilling in my like day wear, and I'm just like, I want to make a video. I'm actually secretly procrastinating from editing some photos, so because making videos are more fun. So whatever. But I gotta go back to editing, guys. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. Good luck, everybody. Goodbye.